he gets on. All right. Welcome to the June 23rd, 2026 meeting of the Planning Board. First, we'll take a roll call to introduce board members and staff. Mike Derderian,
Here.
Maureen Collins-White,
Here.
Tim Halladina,
Here.
and I'm Ellen Rawlings. I'm also here. We're also joined by Nora Loughnane, our Director of Community and Economic Development, Jess Cole, our Recording Secretary, and Charlotte Lynch from Westwood Media Center. All right, this meeting is recorded by Westwood Media Center and broadcast live on local cable television Comcast Channel 6 and Verizon Channel 42. Meetings are also live on the Westwood Media Center's YouTube channel. If you're interested in joining the meeting via Zoom, you can find the login directions in the Planning Board meeting notice that is posted to the calendar section of the town's webpage at https://www.townhall.westwood.ma.us/. We will begin the meeting with only the board members and staff unmuted and on video. As the chair recognizes individuals to speak, we will unmute them. Board members may choose to mute themselves when they are not speaking in order to minimize background noise. For applications, the chair will first invite the applicant to address the board and give a presentation summarizing what is being requested. Board members received the application materials prior to the meeting and will have reviewed them. Board members may ask questions during and following the presentation. Staff and outside experts will provide comments to the board. If the issue includes a public hearing, the board will then proceed to the public comment portion of the public hearing and will restate the instructions. In this remote meeting format, residents and guests may participate in several ways. Attendees should raise their hand and wait to be unmuted and recognized to speak over the Zoom meeting application or from a telephone dial-up. We will be able to hear you but not see you. Additionally, comments may be submitted by email or regular mail prior to the meeting. When we come to that part of the meeting, I will remind everyone of the process. Following the public comment portion, the board will deliberate and make a decision or continue the hearing to a specific future date. All remote meetings require that votes be taken by roll call. When a motion and second has been made, the chair will ask if there is any further discussion before proceeding to a roll call vote and will then restate the results of the vote. And we've been joined by Phil Giordano. Hey, Phil.
I'm here.
All right, great. Now we have everybody. So, Nora, are there any changes to our agenda this evening?
Yes, there are. The first item, which was a public hearing for 447 Dover Road on Scenic Road approval, that hearing was not properly advertised and will be instead taken up at your July 28th meeting. And the fourth item on your agenda regarding modifications to 378 Washington Street, the applicant has asked for that to be considered also on July 28th due to health issues. He's unable to attend tonight. I've also added a new item. After your hearing on rules and regulations, I've added a recommendation of appointment to the Town Council Screening Committee for something for the board to discuss.
Great, thank you. All right, so then, and I think the agenda in my packet may be a little different from the current version of the agenda, but I believe then our first action item that we will take up is consideration of proposed modifications to sorry, why is that not coming up? My apologies. Flexible multiple use overlay district FMUOD special permit approval for retroactive sign approval and landscape alterations at 436 Washington Street.
Yes, so for that one, Stephen David is the applicant. He was notified late that the matter would be coming on for tonight's agenda, and he has not gotten back to me as to whether or not he can attend. I see that he is not in the attendees at present, so I recommend you go on to the next item. If he does come into the meeting, we can take this up, and if not, we will take this up at your next meeting on July 14th.
Nora and Madam Chair, I just would like to note that I did not realize that Mr. David was part of that. I would be recusing myself and would lead the meeting at the time when that matter is taken up.
Thank you, Phil. All right, so I did find the revised agenda so that we would move on to consideration of endorsement of proposed approval not required A&R plan for 235 Westfield Street?
Yes.
Right.
So that is an approval not required plan. It does not require a hearing. The applicants, Paul and Carolyn Gay, are present, and I've asked them to join as participants. So we'll see if they're able to do so.
Great. Looks like they're coming in.
I believe they are. And while we're waiting for them, I will try to display the A&R plan that we received. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
And Mr. and Mrs. Gay, can you hear us? You're muted. You'll need to unmute so you can respond. If you click on the red microphone at the bottom of your
I think we just did.
Great. Okay, now we can hear you.
Thank you.
All right. So let me begin by displaying this plan for the planning board to review. The Gays application consists of the division of one lot that contains over 18 acres of land, more than 11 acres of which are in Westwood. It's currently in a single lot, which is delineated by the outline on this plan. The proposal would divide that lot into 4 new parcels. The first parcel, Lot 1000, would consist of the existing developed area, which straddles the line between Westwood and Dedham, and it would have its frontage on Westfield Street through this portion of the southeast portion of the parcel. There would be 3 other lots, Lot 101, Lot 102, and Lot 103, each of which would have frontage on Westfield Street. The problem is that while lots 101, 102, and 103 all have the minimum required 175 feet of frontage that's required in the single residence E district, the lot 1000, which has the existing residence on it, does not meet that requirement. The proposed A&R plan shows the street frontage for this lot to be 168.18 feet. So that is short of the minimum required street frontage of 175 feet. In addition, while it's not a concern to the planning board as to whether or not this is a buildable lot, in addition, for it to be a buildable lot, the lot width would have to be 175 feet, and this plan shows that the lot width at the 40-foot setback line is only 161.43 feet. So for this reason, the plan does not meet the minimum requirements for your endorsement of an approval not required plan under the subdivision regulations and the subdivision control law. For that reason, I recommend that the board find that this plan constitutes a subdivision and state that it is unable to endorse it at this time. The Gays have been advised that the procedure is to come to the planning board to see if they had an eligible A&R plan, and if they are found not to have an eligible A&R plan, there are a couple of different remedies they can attempt. The first one that I believe they have started the process would be to apply to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a variance of the street frontage and lot width requirements. If that variance is granted, they could then return to the planning board and file an application for definitive subdivision, and the board could then consider a definitive subdivision to create these 4 parcels. In addition, so you can see that the access to the parcel lot 1000 that has the home on it cannot be through the street frontage due to the presence of extensive wetlands. Instead, that access would be through a shared driveway, which would use the current driveway, which goes right through proposed lots 101 and 102 back to the existing house. So that's a current driveway that exists. But if this land is subdivided as proposed, they would also need to apply to this planning board for a shared driveway special permit to allow access to these 3 lots from this single shared driveway. And then the lot 1003 would have its own access off of Westfield Street and would then just require a curb cut permit from the Department of Public Works. So that's the first possibility for how this could be resolved. If there was, if the Zoning Board of Appeals declined to grant the necessary variances, there are other options, one of which would be to divide this property into 3 parcels instead of 4, so that there's sufficient frontage. And another option would be to simply apply to the planning board for a definitive subdivision to create a lot, a development where this driveway would be converted into a subdivision road with frontage for 4 lots. So those are the various options that are available to the Gays. If you'd like to discuss the matter with them, I recommend that you do so now.
Thank you, Nora. That was a very thorough overview, so I'll just open up the floor to board member questions and comments.
Do we have any comments?
No, I think we're all set.
We have a question.
Sure, I will recognize you. I usually go to board members first and then we'll entertain applicant questions, but I'm happy to hear your question now if it might help the board with their questions. So absolutely.
Now,
No.
okay, about the the shared driveway special permit for access. Does that mean that the lots that front on Westfield Street would not have access directly from Westfield Street?
So you would be able to file your application either with the existing driveway serving all 3 lots or with the existing driveway only serving the parcel at the rear, lot 1000, and 2 new driveways serving lots 101 and 102. But the planning board would likely express concern about driveways that are very close together. So I would recommend, at least for lot 101, that you serve that off of the same driveway, that you have you can come into the parcel and then split off with a Y to get to that other lot. It may make sense to do that for lot 1002 as well, but that would be at the planning board's discretion once you file that application.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any board member questions or comments? Mike.
Yes, Nora, I was wondering, I saw that the Gays wrote a letter or submitted a paper saying that their intent was to donate some of this land, and I'm curious, does that play any part in your recommendation? And the second part of that question is, how does the A&R request versus turning it into subdivisions, like what's the impact of all this? If this is potentially just going to be donated, and where is that? Where would that land be? Do you know that for sure? What information do you have?
So, Mr. and Mrs. Gay, were you suggesting that you would donate lots 1002 and 1003 for conservation land? Was that the intention?
No, the intention was lot 1000, which is where the house is, and lot, and I'm having trouble seeing it, but I think it's 02. So
02 is this parcel in the center here?
The parcel in the center.
the center, yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so the
so
intention is to donate that
those-
parcel.
I'm sorry.
Those two would be the conservation restriction.
And that's about 8.6 acres, and we have 14 acres in Westwood.
So you would donate the parcel with the home on it for conservation?
Yes,
A portion of the parcel? Because
No.
it's already developed, so.
it's our understanding that conservation land can have a home on it.
So what you would be doing is you would not be donating the parcel, you'd be restricting a portion of the parcel. You could not restrict the portion that had the home on it through a deed restriction. A conservation restriction requires no development of the parcel. You can restrict a portion of a parcel that has a home on it, but you cannot have a conservation restriction covering the home itself.
Okay, I was not aware of that. I thought you could restrict the whole portion, the whole parcel.
So it's possible that we're discussing two different items. There's a conservation restriction that's put in place that prevents the development of land. There are agricultural and conservation encumbrances that are put on parcels to lessen taxes. Maybe that's what you have in mind? To lessen property taxes?
No,
I don't know the distinction. I mean, as far as I knew a conservation restriction.
Let me put it this way. Your intent is not to donate the parcel to a conservation organization. You intend to remain in the home. Do you not? And you intend to remain ownership of the home?
yes.
Yes,
Yes. So
Yes.
it would not be a donation of the whole parcel. It would be a donation of a conservation restriction placed on the parcel to prevent development of portions that are not currently developed.
yes.
Yes.
Does that answer your question, Phil?
Oh, yeah, no, it was
Oh,
mine.
sorry, Mike.
Yeah, I'm curious, because I think the gays did use the term donate in the paper they submitted. So I was just curious if they were working with an attorney on that, whether that was information that would be relevant at this stage to. I don't want to make people jump through hoops if they are actually going to just donate land to the town of Westwood unless those hoops are, absolutely needed, obviously. I was just curious if that had been fleshed out on your end, Nora. But it sounds like we don't really have a lot of information at this point.
So we have met with the gays a couple of times over the years, and my understanding is that the intent here is to create lots that can be valued for donations. So if the intent was simply to have a conservation restriction, the restriction could be placed over the entire property without division, or it could be placed while carving out the two lots that are proposed for development, 1001 and 1003, without separating 1002 from 1000. So that could be done. That would you'd be able to not have to go through the zoning process because the frontage would not be an issue if you were not trying to divide the frontage into 4 parcels, if you're only trying to divide into 3. So that would allow donation of a conservation restriction on this portion of land and this portion of land. That would not be a problem and would not require, it would require an approval not required plan, but it would not require a zoning variance. However, my understanding is the intention is to go with 4 lots so that the value of the individual buildable lot could be used to value the donation. So I imagine that would result in a greater tax deduction.
Okay. Yeah, my only question and comment was if it was worth the effort of fleshing this out with the gays and or whoever's representing them and potentially trying to do this before going down the course of going to the ZBA. If we thought that there could be efficiency, if there was better communication there, that might be something to consider. But that was my only thought.
Yep, so it has been discussed, and this seems to be the path that they are looking to follow, and the planning board simply cannot endorse this as an A&R plan because it doesn't meet the standards.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not sure I understood all that.
Okay.
You do.
I
Any
think so.
other board member questions or comments? I had a quick question. It's not just because we're talking about the value of the land, and this is just really for my own information. I see a lot of wetlands delineation in there. So does that affect the the lots whether it's considered buildable or not?
So an A&R plan cannot determine whether a lot is buildable or not. It would be required for the building commissioner to review it and determine if it's buildable or not. But I can tell you that the three parcels here, 101, 1001, 1002, 1003, all have the minimum lot size requirements, the minimum street frontage, the minimum upland area, and they appear to meet the shape factor provisions of the zoning bylaw. So if that proves to be the case, then the building commissioner can determine all three of those to be buildable lots, which would affect the value. So if they were all determined buildable lots, and if the gays wish to build on or sell 1001 and 1003 as buildable lots, they could do that, and they could value 1002 as a buildable lot for tax purposes. The problem is that they come out of this lot 1000, and that is not a buildable lot, even though it has an existing home on it. So they are rendering the overall large buildable parcel into 3 buildable lots and 1 non-buildable lot. You cannot do that because that non-buildable lot is already improved. So that's the problem. If they created the lots in a manner that the building was on one of the lots that had sufficient frontage, then they would be able to create a non-buildable lot that had insufficient frontage. But the value of that non-buildable lot would certainly be less than the value of a buildable lot for donation purposes.
Right, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay.
And that's because like that the home is up there, but the frontage for that parcel
Is all the way down here.
all the way down there. Right, right. Okay, thank you. I didn't really have any other questions unless any of my colleagues did.
No, Nora just answered all my questions when she went over the overview. So thank you.
Yeah, that was very helpful.
All right. I don't see any other questions or hands raised. So I mean, if we're ready to make a motion, it seems pretty straightforward from my perspective.
I'll go. I move that the planning board find the proposed approval not required plan for 235 Westfield Street dated June 10, 2026 to be ineligible for endorsement as a plan not requiring approval under the subdivision control law due to insufficient frontage on one of the proposed parcels, and that the board find that the proposed plan constitutes a subdivision and that the board vote not to endorse the submitted plan.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll take roll call. Maureen,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Gay, for attending and
Thank you
sharing.
very much. I mean, you made it clear to us too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Right. So then our next agenda item would be, sorry, I'm going between two different windows. Rules and regs, yes?
Whoa.
Yes.
Okay, then
Wow.
I will say that more clearly. Continuation of public hearing for consideration of amendments to various planning board rules and regulations, standards, guidelines, and meeting procedures continued from May 19th, 2026.
Good.
Right.
Okay.
Just get
Just
out
give
of
me
it.
a minute and I will open the documents.
You turn it off. Just turn the whole thing off.
Just a minute. Sorry it's taking so long. All right, so you had committed to review 2 sets of documents tonight, the automobile parking design standards and the traffic study standards. So I can display the red line copy. Make that large enough for you to see. So this particular set of rules and regulations has not been altered since the December 16, 2025 approval. So I can, oops, I'm sorry about that. I can change the date, update it to today, and then you can look at it to see if it meets your standards. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, if you're able to see that, we can walk through the changes that were proposed. First change is, most of the changes here are simply reorganization and rewording. There are no significant changes to the rules and regulations. The first changes are in section 1.1.2. You can read there. It would now read, automobile parking facilities shall be designed to accommodate vehicles of standard sizes unless the board votes to permit a mix of compact vehicle parking spaces and standard vehicle spaces. Then section 1.1.3 is changed to read, all parking spaces within a parking facility shall be properly sized with minimum stall widths and minimum stall lengths for each type of parking space as set forth in table 1.1.3 below. And then there's just rewording in that table. The title is now off-street vehicle parking space dimensions, and the categories are type of parking space and minimum parking stall size. In 1.1.4, we added the word minimum to minimum drive aisle and driveway width dimensions shall depend on the parking angles. Each parking space shall have adequate drive aisle access and turning maneuvering areas in accordance with table 1.1.4 below. Just let me know if you have a question about anything.
No.
Then in 1.1.6, we added solar canopy supports as something that could be within the clearance of a parking stall. We did this after the Amoresco proposal to have solar panels at the high school. We realized that that was something else that needed to be added. So this new section, the section now reads, light poles, trees, pillars, curb bumpers, electric vehicle charging stations, solar canopy supports, or other similar features shall be situated to maintain the minimum required stall length and width clearance without encroaching on the size of the parking stall. The next changes are in the additional standards for compact parking facilities, where we amended that to read, the following additional provisions shall apply in parking facilities which contain compact vehicle spaces. No more than 1/3 of the total number of parking spaces may be compact vehicle parking spaces, except that the board may authorize a greater percentage of compact vehicle spaces at the board's sole discretion following review of relevant data, which leads to a positive finding that the proposed land use has particular characteristics that clearly justify the sufficiency of such greater percentage. And 1.2.2, compact vehicle parking spaces shall be located near the entrance to the use or the structure which the parking facility serves, except that handicap parking shall be nearest said entrance. 1.23 is changed to read, compact vehicle parking spaces shall be clearly identified through the use of signs and/or pavement markings.
Nora,
Yes.
just one question. Go back to 1.2.1. I
Yes.
think there was an at missing. I think you said at, but except that the planning board may authorize.
except that the board may
Board.
authorize a greater percentage of compact vehicle spaces
At,
right here.
oh, there's
at-
the
Yep,
at,
at
okay,
the board's sole discretion, following a review of relevant data, which leads to a positive finding
Okay.
that the proposed land use has particular characteristics.
yep, perfect.
Okay,
I heard you say at.
thank you. Section 1.3.5 is changed to say parking lot landscaping elements shall be installed pursuant to zoning bylaw requirements and shall be properly maintained in perpetuity. And then this doesn't show up on the red line, but this section was actually eliminated because it was inconsistent with the zoning bylaw. The zoning bylaw clearly says that you cannot waive the size requirements of the parking spaces. They must be approved as laid out in this regulation. So that section, waiver section, was inconsistent with the zoning bylaw.
Mhm.
So those are the revisions that the board has been asked to consider tonight. Does anyone have any additional changes they'd like to recommend?
I have no comments.
We're all staring at Maureen right now.
Maureen is our
That one was easy
expert.
peasy.
You already caught the mythical
That one I
at.
didn't even have a comment on 6 months ago. I just wanted to know, what's the difference between a stall and a space? That was my question. What's the difference? Stall, space.
They're the same thing. So
Oh.
we're trying to be consistent in referring to it as a space. Sometimes applicants refer to a space when they're counting how many spaces there are in the lot, and they refer to it as a stall when you're looking at the individual space. But they really are the exact same
The
thing.
same thing. Yeah, I'm going. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Nora, did you want us to take these individually as far as?
You don't have to. You can take it all at once. That's fine.
Okay.
I'm just gonna mark this for today's date so I know which one I'm proposing. Okay, and then you could take them together. If you have no other comments on that, I will open up the traffic study guidelines.
I'll open it up to public comment on that one. Just
Sure.
so at this time, as this is a public hearing, if there are any members of the public that would like to offer comment or ask a question about the parking rules and regs, please raise your hand or enter your question or comment into the chat the Q&A feature in the Zoom application. We would just need your full name and address. I'm not seeing anything, so I think we can move on to the next set of rules and regs.
Right, these are the traffic study guidelines. And there were very few changes here. Let me see, other than the date. Actually, I'm not seeing any changes. Oh, there we go. There we go. Under the review procedures, that we've changed town engineer to town planner since we do not have a town engineer on staff. So for review procedures, it now says proponents of development proposals to which these guidelines are applicable should contact the town planner early in project design regarding the scoping of required traffic studies, including consideration of the study area boundary, possible alternatives, and the type of mitigations, if any, which might be appropriate. And just to explain to the board what the town planner would then do, if it was a traffic study that required peer review, they would contact a peer reviewer. If it was a traffic study that could be handled by our Department of Public Works through their on-call engineer, then they would forward it to Beta for Beta to review. And then in the next sentence, we noted that applications are electronic. So traffic studies should be submitted electronically, coincident with the application for subdivision approval, special permit, site plan review, comprehensive permit, zoning petition, or other development request to allow sufficient time for review prior to the public hearing or meeting at which the development proposal will be considered. And I believe that is the only change that has been proposed. Let me just update
No.
the date here.
All right, I had two questions on this one.
Yes.
The first was the reference to the traffic study, the guidelines that it's referencing is from 1989.
Yes, it is.
Are
Yes.
there any more recent guidelines? I like things have changed quite a bit since then, and I got to imagine there's some sort of guideline more up to date that we should be guiding
So
to. I don't know. I just that struck me as surprising.
let me see if I can just Google that now and see if I can find something more recent.
And then maybe while you're doing that, the only other thing I saw in this one that caught my eye was the it like requires projection of annual growth within Westwood of 4%.
It does, which is extremely high.
Yeah, that's
One
where
and a half percent is probably the standard.
okay.
When the original traffic study guidelines were adopted, I don't even remember when it was, probably about 15 years ago. The planning board at that time chose to use a very high percentage to make
Okay,
sure
for the
that they would
yeah. So
capture.
I assume it's just a more conservative
It's
that was an
extremely
inflated number. Okay,
conservative.
gotcha.
And every applicant that reviews that complains about it because it is unlike anything that, as I said, 1.5% is the industry standard.
Okay.
All right, so I am looking to see if what the current date is. And it looks like standards may have been updated in 2006. Let me just verify that though.
No worries. Sorry I didn't get these to you earlier.
That's okay. All right, so I find there's something called the Transportation Impact Assessment Guidelines managed by the Massachusetts Department of Transportation, Mass DOT, and the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. And just see if I can get a copy of that to see what the date is.
I would just imagine there's more reference to like pedestrian safety or public access. I don't more recent.
So this is the document that I found that is probably the most recent. And I don't clearly see an adoption date on it. It might be, there we go, 2014, March 13th, 2014. So I can change the reference.
Good catch, Tim. Maureen.
That was one of mine, was the update and how and who does this. Is that under beta? Is that who?
So it would be reviewed by whoever the engineer is chosen to review this.
Okay.
So if it's a project that's town related or that's a small enough project that we wouldn't be requesting the applicant to pay for a peer review, then it would be done by Beta as the consulting town engineer. If it was a larger project that would be undergoing a full engineering peer review, then it would be reviewed by whatever engineer is associated with that peer review firm. So when we get an application in that requires a full peer review, the town planner sends out requests for quotes on peer review to several firms and then brings back the firms that are interested in doing it to the planning board, and the planning board chooses the one that they think is most appropriate.
Just when you're done, I just have a few more of like things
All
that
right.
I had seen.
Let me just
Yep.
just want to update this. It's easier to do if I update it without it on the screen.
Someone tell a joke or start
I'll get
singing
my
a
book.
song.
I think that's all set now. Just a second. Okay, so I made the change and I'll look to see if it appears anywhere else. I don't think it does. So now section 1.2.1 reads analytic methods and sources used in all studies shall be as outlined in the publication entitled Transportation Impact Assessment Guidelines managed by the Massachusetts Department of Transportation, Mass DOT, and the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, EEA. MEPA dated March 13, 2004, as amended, guidelines, unless an alternative is specifically authorized by the reviewing agency or official.
Great. Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
a little down here, I will change to just in guidelines.
You also have a date. Yeah.
Actually, I believe we can just say in the guidelines,
Hmm.
since we've defined the above. All right. Does anyone see anything else they would like to discuss?
Maureen, I think you said you had a few more, and then I did see Mike's hand up too. Oh, and Tim. All right, so
Yep.
Maureen, you can
Oh,
finish.
I'm
and
sorry,
then-
Nora, I think you can delete the quotation mark before G, like you
Oh.
just forgot to delete
I
that.
think I did. Yeah,
Oh,
this
sorry.
is flashed
You're right.
through. It's
You're right.
deleted.
You're
Those
right.
red lines are tough to see sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
And just a question, what do you consider peak hours? Do you have,
So peak hours are different for different uses. I think that's something that the board would determine what the peak hours for a particular use are. In the guidelines, they set peak hours for different types of use. So if it was a commercial use, it might have a peak hour of, I don't know, they'd be different. An office use, peak hour might be between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. in the morning and between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. in the evening.
but do we have anything written out?
I believe in these guidelines, they do address peak hours
Oh,
for
in
particular
these,
uses. But
okay,
if there's a use that's not specifically identified in those guidelines, then it will be up to the planning board to determine what the peak hours for that use would be.
okay, depending
And they
on
would
what,
determine that based on the
Hmm.
information that's provided by the applicant.
okay. And then on section 7.2.5.2, I think that's the new one now, I think.
1.2.5.2, maybe? Am I looking? I don't see a section 7.
Did I have? Oh, you know what? That was the old one.
Okay.
But this is the new, okay, yeah, it's, I apologize. It's 1.2.3. Yeah,
All right, the traffic study shall project a minimum of 5 years into the future and shall assume background traffic growth of at least 4% per year.
in the previous one that had been written under the, it was tucked in with the planning board EIDR rules and regulations.
Yes?
That had in it that it was beyond the anticipated completion. And I'm assuming that's just maybe putting in more build time in case something doesn't start right away. Do you understand what I just said?
Yes, so they were projecting 5 years beyond the anticipated completion of the project rather than
Yes.
into the future?
Yeah. Because I guess that gives like, if it doesn't start for like a year and a half after the permit, does that happen?
Yep, that could happen. Because you could delay a project for up to 2 years. And then if the state imposes a permit extension act, it could be another 2 years or 4 years. We've had that happen a few times where projects can be pushed out quite a while.
So you think that's reasonable to put back in?
I think it is.
Okay. And then on 1.3.4.1,
Okay, let's get to that. Yes.
is that at vertical supposed to be a T?
Yes, it is. Good catch.
Oh, and then 1.3.4.2. 1.3.4.1, they both are safety characteristics, correct?
Yes, this is travel safety characteristics,
Yeah. And this is
and
street
this is street side
side
safety characteristics.
Okay. I just need, yeah. Okay. And I think that was it. Because those numbers from the traffic standards were taken from the Green Book, which are down under 1.4.
The speed numbers, is that what you say?
Yeah.
Yes. Those are the ASTRO standards, and those have not changed.
And that was it, I think.
All right. Mike, I know you had your hand up and then it went down. Did you still have something?
Yeah, very quickly. Nora, can you just briefly explain when the planning board would require the traffic study to be peer reviewed? Um, do we have discretion when that can happen? I was just looking at the bylaws and
You do. So we typically have a project in its entirety peer reviewed, and if a traffic study is required for that project, that would be peer reviewed as well.
Yeah.
There are instances where we don't require peer review. Usually in the case of a limited EIDR, we don't require peer review. And in the case of a project which requires changes, maybe it's a change of use from, say, an office use to a personal service use or something that would not be anticipated to significantly change the traffic. Something like
Okay.
that, you would not have a traffic study. You would waive the traffic study, but it's up to the board to decide whether they'll waive it or not. And in cases where the board will not waive a traffic study, they're requiring one. It's usually a peer-reviewed project unless it's limited EIDR or a town project, a town-sponsored project. We don't usually hire a peer review to review a town project. We usually have our DPW consult Beta as the consulting town engineer on a town project.
Got it. Okay. Okay. So that means on any major project, we will have an independent reviewer that the town procures or that
Yes.
the applicant's paying for to do the analysis.
Right. So if you think of projects that have recently been before the board, 2240 Everett Street, the block that had a peer review consultant. Lords and Ladies at 190 Washington Street had one.
Okay.
Stephen David's building at 436 Washington Street had a peer reviewer. Most significant projects do have peer review.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim.
And I just wanted to ask if so I find these really helpful, especially with all the growth that we've seen and development in some areas. So I was just curious, and it seems like some of the requirements that we have once a study is triggered are conservative, which is good. Are we also on the more, I guess, or how do we compare to other comparable towns with respect to what triggers this? I don't have a sense for like the daily trip number or peak hours and what trips or what triggers requiring this and what is how we compare. I'm going to guess we're on the side of conservative in requiring them if there's doubt, but
I believe that's the case, but I can't say that I've reviewed neighboring towns' traffic study guidelines.
gotcha. Okay. No worries. I'm just curious.
Thank you. Maureen, did you have another?
Can you
Question.
believe it? And I just had one other question. Can you, on the previous one, there was a recommendation that detailed proposal for the monetary contribution for or the design or construction of offsite improvements to mitigate the traffic impacts of the proposed development project. So there used to be, I guess, like maybe a fee or monies that you would attach to a project if, or that's what one of the old things used to say.
I'm sorry, was that, I thought you were saying on the other set of regulations. I'm sorry.
Well, the one that was under the EIDR rules and regulations.
Okay. Let me call that up. Let me open up the old EIDR regulations. Why don't I do that? And then we can see where it came from.
It was 7.2.5.9.
Okay, let me find that.
Page 20.
Okay. Okay, so that's a detailed proposals for the monetary contribution for or the design or construction of offsite improvements to mitigate the traffic impacts of the proposed development project. That seems to have remained in the EIDR requirements.
Ah,
I believe that's still there.
because I thought was the traffic impact study staying in the EIDR rules and regulations?
Yes, it is.
Yes, okay.
Yes, yeah. So the EIDR rules and regulations requires a traffic study unless
Mhm.
it's waived by the board. And then these guidelines describe what the traffic study should look like, what the board would be expecting when it required a traffic study. Is that, I hope that's clear. So the EIDR guidelines are what causes the traffic study to be required. And then, oh, I'm sorry, they're not guidelines. The EIDR rules and regulations call for a traffic study. And
Yeah.
where a traffic study is required, we then direct the applicant to these traffic study guidelines to see how they prepare that traffic study. So the two documents go hand in hand.
Okay.
These traffic study guidelines would also apply to the special permit regulations. So if you had a special permit for a project and it required a traffic study, then we point the applicant to these traffic study guidelines for developing the content of the traffic study. They're
Okay.
related documents. They're not mutually exclusive.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board member questions or comments on the traffic study guidelines? All right, I'll open up the floor to public comment on these. If there's anyone who would like to offer comment or ask a question on the traffic study rules and regulations, please raise your hand or use the Q&A feature. We would just need your full name and address for the record. Give that a second. And I am not seeing any action there, so if we're ready for a motion.
Okay.
All right, I'll do this one. I move that the planning board adopt the following set of rules, regulations, standards, and guidelines as revised at the June 23rd, 2026 public hearing session. Automobile parking design standards and traffic study guidelines.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll take roll call. Mike,
Aye.
Maureen,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries. Before we move on to continue the hearing, I think we should pick two for the next one. I'm going to put in a plug for I'm going to read this access approval overlay district rules and regulations. I have a special interest in that one, so I would love to take that one on. It seems relatively short, so if we wanted to pair that with one that was a little bit more robust, I think that would probably be okay.
Would you like to do the bicycle standards?
Oh, that's many.
Sure. I'm agnostic on the rest. I have a particular interest in the access approval overlay district, but the rest, they all got to get done at some point. So I'm willing to defer to the majority on the rest.
I think the bicycle is good.
That's good.
I see everybody nodding. Okay, so we'll do the bicycles.
Okay, excuse me.
All right. So now we can move on to close the
Now-
public, or,
okay.
sorry, continue the
Continue.
public. Continue.
Should I go? Okay.
Yes.
I move that the planning board continue the public hearing for amendments to various planning board rules and regulations, standards, guidelines, and meeting procedures to the planning board meeting, which will be held via Zoom on Tuesday, July 14, 2026 at 7 p.m., where a Zoom link and associated call-in numbers will be provided on the town's calendar on the homepage at https www.townhall.westwood.ma.us/.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll take roll call. Mike,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Maureen.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries and the hearing is continued. All right, so on our revised agenda, our next item is a recommendation of appointment to Town Council Screening Committee.
Yeah, so the select board at its meeting last night spoke of this town council screening committee that it was forming to review options for replacing Pat Ahern, who's plans to retire on August 1st. And they have formed a steering committee to consider the options for moving forward, either with an individual or with a firm. And they have invited a member of the planning board to serve on that committee. So you're asked to discuss among yourselves who would like to be recommended as the member to join that committee.
Excellent. I'm very happy we got an invite because we are, there are times where we are heavy users of town council services. So I think it's good that they've invited a member from this board to participate in that process. So yeah, I guess I'll start by saying, is anyone interested in serving in that capacity?
I would do it.
I'm glad to hear that. I was hoping, since we have a couple of attorneys on the board, that we would leverage some of
I was
that.
hoping either Phil or Mike would.
Yes.
Michael, I'll wrestle you for it.
I'm happy for Phil to do it. I'm happy to do it too, but if Phil has the capacity for this, I'm very happy to have him do it.
Wonderful.
That seems pretty straightforward. Yeah, thank you to both of you for being willing. I do think it's a huge advantage to this board to have two folks who have a legal background, and particularly to advise on this steering committee or screening committee or whatever they're calling it. So thank you. Do we need to take formal action on this to make the recommendation to the select board?
I think you probably should. Just give me a second.
Because then they're actually the appointing authority, right? They'll take our
They are.
recommendation.
You're just making a recommendation.
Okay.
Thank you, Phil.
Nora, I assume I don't vote. I abstain.
You probably, You probably don't vote on this. I'd say you
Yeah,
abstain.
I think I'm just going to abstain.
Nora, I missed the part of the meeting last night. I was watching it to review it. Did they mention when they were actually gonna convene this and start that process?
I don't recall if they actually gave a date.
I would assume soon, given that August is coming up fairly quickly, right? So,
Yes. Right.
I move that the planning board recommend that the select board appoint planning board member Philip Giordano to serve as the planning board representative to the town council screening committee.
Second,
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll take roll call. Mike,
Aye.
Maureen,
aye.
Bill,
Abstain.
thank you. Tim,
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries. All right, great. So, you'll send that note to the select board and then they'll just
I
do their
will.
thing.
Yeah, I'll do that right away.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay. We're cruising. Then our next agenda item is, sorry. Review of
Minutes are next.
minutes.
So,
Yes.
Steve and David did not join the meeting, so we won't be taking up that first item.
Okay, and that was not
That was not a public hearing. It was a request for a minor modification, so I will put it on your agenda for July 14th, and the board can then consider whether or not the requested modification is minor or not.
Right.
If they determine it's minor, then they can vote on the modification.
perfect, but because it's not, we need to take no action tonight. We're
No
good.
action because it was not a hearing.
Excellent. Okay, then we can move on to review of draft meeting minutes from June 2nd, 2026. Was everyone able to review the minutes? And did anyone have any edits they would like to propose?
No edits.
Nope.
All good.
Same. All right. Then I would enter
Oh, I have the wrong date here, sorry.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
June
Yep.
2nd.
Yes. All right. I would entertain a motion.
I move that the planning board approve the minutes for the meeting of June 2nd, 2026 as drafted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just one point that Maureen, you were not at this meeting, so you probably should abstain from voting.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will take roll call. Mike,
Aye.
Maureen,
Abstain.
Phil,
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That motion carries. Thank you, Jess, as always. Our next agenda item is updates from agency and committee representatives. Has anyone attended any meetings and want to report out?
None for me.
Everybody's kind of looking the other way, like doing the not it face. Well, Nora and I attended the long range financial planning committee meeting. Remind me when it was. It was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I don't actually remember the date.
It was sometime between our
It
last
was in
meeting.
June.
It was June, yeah. Sometime between our last meeting and now. And we started a high level, Nora and Nancy Hyde presented a kind of a high level document to start a discussion about commercial properties that we have in town. And the document's actually really useful. And I actually said to Nora, I think it should go to all of the planning board members because it does include stuff that really we probably aren't as concerned about, like current assessed value and how much tax we collect. But it's a pretty good overview of what commercial property we have currently, who owns it, and what the current zoning on each of those parcels is. So I think that's useful for us as a board. It's kind of all in one place to kind of frame our conversations around potentially underutilized parcels. And I believe that's part of the goal that I think Long Range Financial wants to look at too, to kind of discuss some of these parcels and give some ideas on where we could propose some changes. And my thoughts on that are, I think that's wonderful that Long Range Financial wants to get involved in that, but I do feel relatively strongly that the planning board should be involved in those conversations as early as possible as well. Um, for a couple of reasons. One, zoning's kind of our thing, and two, we are the elected board. We are the representative. Like I really appreciate and respect the Long Range Financial Planning Commission. I think they will give us some good perspectives, but I feel like we, as the elected representative board, should really take an active part in that conversation. So I would encourage folks to attend next time that's on the agenda. I think that would be great. And in fact, even Nora, if we could advertise that so that if more board members want to attend that, we won't run into a quorum issue. I don't remember when it's not going to be at every meeting, but I think that's something that it would be, a good thing for us to kind of start paying attention to and participate in as appropriate.
I agree. I think we should have input. I think
I
it's
agree.
important.
Yep.
Yeah, well said.
But the document's pretty awesome. I don't think I've ever seen a full inventory of all of our properties and, where they are and who owns it and what the current zoning is. And I think that could be really helpful, even outside of that discussion, just for us, when we start looking at warrant article season and parcels we may want to try and incentivize, just to have that tool right in front of us is really excellent. So I
Um,
appreciate, Nora, that you guys put that together. I think it's really good.
Madam Chair, does the document have filters that you could essentially try to assess by different filters?
It's an
Different.
Excel document, so you can manipulate it however you'd like.
That's great because that could be really useful in terms of applying filters, and then you say, okay, we want to do this. Let's look at the town and start, looking at the parcels.
Exactly. I was pretty jazzed to see it when I was like, oh, this is actually a really, really excellent tool for us, as well as in that other context. Like I said, some of the assessor information. I think it's good for us to have an understanding of what a property is valued at its current use, because I think we have more than a couple of properties, commercial properties that are not necessarily developed to their highest and best use. So getting a sense of like what we are collecting and what we might be able to collect if it were redeveloped in a particular way, I think that that's going to be really helpful and then really inform some of our discussions because we've already started having those conversations last year and this year. So I think, moving forward, that's the kind of thing that could really help us streamline our conversations as well. Um,
And
so
even
great.
with the staff, if the staff applies some filters, they can educate us
Right.
more easily by just, apply a filter and show what the result is.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, I know it's a living document because as properties change hands and stuff, but it's a really great baseline for us to work with. So I'm excited about that.
Great.
Was there anything else from Long Range Financial that we should touch?
The committee recommended a long-term capital needs assessment, which the select board is now moving forward with.
That's right. That is also exciting. And I believe what they're engaging a consultant to kind of help them look at not just, we've always done kind of 5-year plans. This is a much lot like a 10 to 20 year. What do we need to do? Because it's in response to the community's ask. Instead of giving us stuff piecemeal, can we get a good picture of all the things that we're going to need to do in the next several years? So I'm actually excited about that too. I think that will help a lot of conversations for a lot of boards about here's where all our needs are and how are we going to try and prioritize and meet them and what can we as a board do to try and help that and so yeah, that's moving forward, right? They're moving on that pretty quickly, as I
They
recall.
are.
Excellent. I think that was it from Long Range Financial, and none of my other boards or committees have had any meetings. So that was it from me, unless Nora, if I'm missing anything or anything you'd like to share out on. And it didn't sound like anyone else had been to any meetings. So, All right, then I guess we'll move on to general miscellaneous updates and administrative items.
Just one, there's still documents at the police station, so there are rules and regulations. And Ellen checked today, and there was one M signature. She couldn't tell if it was Maureen or Mike. So if you remember which of you did sign, which of you did not. If you're the person who did not sign, please get down to the police station. The most important document to get signed is the Thatcher Street A&R, because the applicant has a closing scheduled for the end of this week. So they need that document. So if you could please, anyone who has not signed that document, get down to the police station and sign it this week, preferably by Thursday, so I can get it to the applicant for their closing on Friday. And
Nora,
then
on the
Yes.
A&R, I believe because I know I went to.
you did sign. I believe
Okay,
you
I
signed and
just
Ellen
wanted to remember
signed.
because I knew I signed, there was a bunch of things and at the beginning of the month.
Yes,
You
so I
signed
believe
everything,
I
so.
was just there an hour ago. Yeah, it's one
Oh, terrific.
one of the M's
Yeah.
is missing. That's it.
I think I signed
Okay,
Maureen.
I'll confess.
Okay, we now know who's the culprit.
You were out of town, so.
I was.
Police station
Nora.
is open, police station is open 24 hours
24
a
hours
day.
a
There you
day.
go.
Good for them.
It's only
Maureen's
8:15.
not.
It's only 8:15.
That's true, you could.
Yeah, we
create-
have till 10 o'clock. You get time right now.
I know, I can zip right on over there if we finish up quick.
And
Nora.
traffic is great right now.
I know. It wouldn't take me 45 minutes to get from my house to the other side of town.
I think we need a traffic study on that first.
No, we don't. I do a hand count.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Nora,
Yeah,
question for you.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Where I saw the Mullen for the last, where do I sign it?
Down at the bottom of the document, there's a section that says, I reviewed the meeting for
Yeah.
whatever the date is, and then you just sign your name on that line. Do you see at the bottom of the form?
I did see the bottom of the form.
Okay, there's a signature line there, and then
Yeah.
just write in the date, today's date.
Yeah.
And get that to me, and I'll get it filed with the town clerk.
You know what I
That
thought I could do?
authorizes you to vote in the hearing that we just had.
Gotcha. I thought I could do it electronically and send it to you.
Well, if you have an electronic signature.
Wow.
And you can create one very easily. Just sign your name on a piece of paper, scan that
You have
signature.
Adobe, you can use Adobe and just electronically sign.
But I'm going over to the station to sign all my goodies. So I'll drop those off.
Just got some people to bail out.
Yeah.
Okay, but I do see the problem, Maureen, I need to get that to the clerk on the same,
Yep.
so I
Yep.
need to get it to him today. So if you bring it to the police station, I won't get it till tomorrow. So if you can just email it back to me, print out the document, sign it, and scan it. Or if you can't do that, open the Word document and add your electronic signature to it. So you would just, in the Word document, just write your name and change the script font. That's fine. And then
Put a
send it back to me.
/ type your name, then
Yep.
put the script font and send it over.
But I need it today, otherwise your vote
Like
on the
today,
hearing
like
is
right
invalid.
now?
Like-
Like today, right now?
Within minutes.
Before the end of the date, so that the town clerk has it on the 23rd, because you voted either that, or we can reconsider the vote and you can abstain from the 2 sets of regulations that we had tonight. Those are the options, because otherwise your vote is invalid,
Maureen,
which invalidates the regulations.
Just do the electronic signature.
I will attempt to. Have you ever seen me work a computer? Have you?
I'll tell you what. Let me add your signature, send it to you by email, and you confirm that that's your signature. Is that all right?
There you go.
Yes.
Okay, I will do that as soon as we get out of this meeting. Watch
That's
your
it.
emael.
That's a dangerous precedent. No. just
Yeah,
Wow.
it is. You're right, it is.
Yeah, but you know what the other alternative is?
kidding.
We don't want to reconsider that vote. That was a good vote. So.
I think Jessica's taking careful notes of this part of the meeting.
Oh, yeah, this is off the record. Did we close it already?
No,
We continued it. We continued the hearing on the rules and regulations. So we're all set with that as long as you get in your affidavit today.
Okay. Whew.
Great.
And if I mess up, would you let me know?
All you have to do is email back.
Right. I'm gonna email it to you. You email back saying this is okay.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Good solution.
There you go.
Any other administrative items?
I need Charlotte's help for computers.
We'll set up a training session. All right. So then our last agenda item is our upcoming board meetings. We have a meeting on July 14th, 2026, July 28th, 2026, and August 18th, 2026. And with that, if nobody has anything else to share, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Wow, look at this time.
I know.
Excellent job.
I
When we
move
get all,
to
it's what
adjourn.
happens when half the agenda drops off. It goes.
It just goes a lot quicker.
Yeah, yeah. Very good.
I do move to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on adjournment? Seeing none, I'll take roll call. Maureen,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Phil.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Nice.
you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night, everyone.
Night.
We're back.